My wife's family humiliated me for being poor, but when I became a millionaire, they begged to cancel the prenup. One bold move left them speechless and penniless. I'll never forget the sound of metal scraping against metal, that sickening screech as my truck's tires were slashed in the dead of night. I found it at 3 a.m., parked outside the garage where I busted my knuckles daily, a crumpled note stuffed under the windshield wiper. "Stay in your lane, Wrench Turner." The words burned into my brain, a gut punch that made my blood run cold. Who hated me enough to do this, and why now, when everything was finally starting to fall into place? My name's Ethan Caldwell, and at 25, I thought I'd found my slice of the American dream with Lily Harper. But that night, standing in the flickering glow of a Boise streetlight, I realized I was caught in a game I didn't even know I was playing. Boise, Idaho, July 2023. The city hums with a restless energy, a place where tech startups sprout like weeds and working-class folks like me grind to keep up. I'm a mechanic, born and bred in a modest suburb where the air smells of pine and diesel. My dad's a truck driver, hauling freight across the I-84. My mom waits tables at a diner on Fairview Avenue, her smile brighter than her paycheck. They raised me to work hard, keep my head down, and never expect handouts. Lily, though, she's from a different world. Her dad, Richard Harper, owns a chain of hardware stores, the kind that stock every nail and hammer in the Northwest. Her mom, Margaret, is Boise's real estate queen, selling million-dollar homes to tech bros moving in from California. They live in a mansion on Warm Springs Avenue, all glass and stone, like something out of a magazine. Me? I grew up in a split level with creaky floors and a leaky roof. But when I met Lily at the 4th of July festival 2 years ago, none of that mattered. She was a firecracker, all laughter and light, her blonde hair catching the glow of the fireworks over Ann Morrison Park. I was just a guy in a faded flannel, grease stains on my hands, but when she smiled at me, it was like the world tilted. We talked all night, swapping stories over warm beer and hot dogs, her teasing me about my Idaho accent, me falling hard for her quick wit. Lily was finishing her teaching degree at Boise State, dreaming of shaping young minds at a community college. I was smitten, plain and simple. Within a year, I proposed at a quiet spot by the Boise River, the water glinting under the sunset. She said yes, and I thought I'd won the lottery. But her family? They saw me as a loser who'd never measure up. Richard Harper made that clear from day one. "Ethan," he'd say, his voice dripping with that country club condescension, "you're a nice kid, but Lily's used to a certain standard." His eyes would linger on my calloused hands, like they were proof I didn't belong. Margaret was subtler, her smile sharp as a razor, dropping hints about their family's legacy and how careful Lily needed to be. I ignored it, told myself love would smooth it over. Then came the prenup. Richard called me to his office, a mahogany fortress in their mansion, handing me a stack of papers like he was serving a death sentence. "It's to protect Lily's future," he said, his tone implying I was a gold digger waiting to pounce. The prenup was brutal. If we divorced, I'd walk away with nothing but my own earnings. No share of Lily's inheritance, no piece of the Harper empire. It felt like a slap, a neon sign screaming, "You're not one of us." I wanted to tear it up, but Lily, with her soft eyes and softer voice, said, "It's just paperwork, Ethan. It doesn't change us." So I signed, swallowing my pride like a bitter pill, thinking love would be enough. The wedding was a spectacle, held at the Boise Country Club, where Lily's side sipped champagne and my family, my parents, my brother Nate in a borrowed suit, stuck out like sore thumbs. My mom tried to make small talk with Margaret, who barely hid her disdain. My dad clapped me on the back, whispering, "You're punching above your weight, son. Don't let 'em break you." We moved into a cramped apartment off Vista Avenue, the kind with thin walls and a temperamental water heater. Lily started teaching, her passion for her students lighting up our tiny living room. I worked 12-hour shifts at the garage, fixing pickups and SUVs, my hands always smelling of oil. We were happy, scraping by, dreaming of a bigger life. But her parents never let me forget my place. At every Sunday dinner, Richard would smirk, asking, "How's that grease monkey gig treating you?" Margaret would chime in, "Oh, Lily, remember when we took you to Paris? Such a shame you can't do that now. Their words were like knives, small but sharp, cutting at my pride. That slashed tire incident lit a fire in me. I suspected Richard. His smug face flashed in my mind, but I had no proof. Instead of folding, I doubled down. I'd always been good with tech, tinkering with computers in high school, so I signed up for an online coding boot camp, burning the midnight oil after my garage shifts. Lily thought I was nuts, saying, "You're killing yourself, Ethan. Why can't you just be happy?" But I wasn't just chasing a paycheck. I was chasing respect, something her family would never give me. By 26, I landed freelance coding gigs through a buddy, building apps for Boise startups. The money was good, damn good, doubling my garage income in months. Then came the game changer. A tech startup offered me stock options to code their payment platform. It was a gamble, but I took it, pouring every spare hour into their project. Lily started pulling away, her sighs louder when I missed dinner, her eyes distant when I talked about my dreams. "You're married to that laptop," she'd snap, echoing her parents' refrain that I was unreliable. Then, in the spring of 2025, the startup hit the jackpot. A Silicon Valley giant bought them out, and my stock options turned me into a millionaire at 27. I remember standing in our apartment, staring at the bank statement on my phone, the zeros blurring my vision. I quit the garage the next day, my boss begging me to stay, but I was done wrenching for pennies. Ed was in a school play in part of the city. I bought a sleek house in Boise's North End, all clean lines and big windows, and whisked Lily to Hawaii, our first real vacation. We walked Waikiki Beach, her hand in mine, and I thought, this is it. We made it. But even in paradise, I caught her on a hushed phone call one night, her voice low. "We need to ditch the prenup soon." My stomach dropped. Who was she talking to? Why now? When we'd never mentioned that damn document in years. I brushed it off, told myself I was paranoid, but the seed was planted. Back in Boise, I launched my own real estate tech startup, using my coding skills to streamline property management. The company took off, landing clients across Idaho and beyond. Suddenly, Richard was all smiles, calling me son and asking for investment advice. "You're a natural, Ethan," he'd say, his eyes gleaming like he saw dollar signs instead of me. Margaret started dropping hints about their tight budget, whining about how tough it was to keep up their lifestyle now that Richard was semi-retired. I wasn't buying their act. My money wasn't luck. It was sweat, sacrifice, nights spent coding while Lily slept alone. Then, at a family barbecue in their sprawling backyard, Richard cornered me by the grill, his bourbon breath hot on my face. "That prenup," he said, casual as if he were talking about the weather, "it's outdated, don't you think? You're a big shot now. No need to keep Lily tied to that old thing." I froze, the spatula trembling in my hand. Lily was across the yard, laughing with her mom, but her eyes flicked toward us, like she knew what was coming. "It's not a problem, Richard," I said, keeping my voice steady. "It's just a piece of paper, right?" He smirked, but there was steel in it. "Sure, but family doesn't need barriers like that. You're family now, Ethan." The word family hit like a jab. Margaret joined in, her voice syrupy. "We just want what's best for Lily, you know. That prenup makes it seem like you don't trust her." I glanced at Lily, waiting for her to back me up, but she just sipped her wine, her silence louder than words. My chest tightened, a mix of anger and betrayal bubbling up. Why was she letting them do this? Why was this damn prenup suddenly the hill they wanted to die on? The tension simmered for weeks. Lily started bringing it up at home, her tone shifting from gentle to sharp. "If you trust me, Ethan, you tear it up," she said one night, her arms crossed in our kitchen. "It's not about trust," I shot back, my voice rising. "It's about your parents trying to control us." She rolled her eyes, calling me paranoid. But I wasn't buying it. The prenup hadn't mattered for years. Why now? I suggested a weekend at a cabin in McCall, a quiet spot by Payette Lake, hoping to clear the air. She agreed, but her mood was icy, like I was dragging her to a funeral. At the cabin, we cooked dinner the first night, the crackle of the fireplace masking the tension. But the next morning, sitting on the dock, I couldn't hold back. "Lily, what's really going on? Is this about us, or is it your parents pulling the strings?" She sighed, her eyes on the water. "It's about us, Ethan. I'm the one saying the prenup doesn't make sense anymore. Her voice was calm, but it felt rehearsed. I leaned closer, my heart pounding. Come on, Lily. Your parents made me sign it, and now they're the ones pushing to scrap it. That's no coincidence. Her face hardened. You're acting like they're the bad guys here, when all they want is what's best for me. I laughed bitter. Best for you? Or best for their bank account? That's when she dropped the bomb, her voice low, almost a hiss. Maybe the problem's you, Ethan. Maybe you're so caught up in your ego, you can't see how this hurts me. I felt the air leave my lungs. Hurts you? They didn't trust me from day one, and now you're siding with them? She shrugged, cold as ice. If you can't trust me now, maybe we're not as solid as you think. I stood, my fists clenched, the lake's calm surface mocking me. You're threatening our marriage over a piece of paper your parents forced on me? Her eyes met mine, unyielding. It's not a threat, Ethan. It's the truth. If you're obsessed with that prenup, maybe you're not all in. I wanted to scream, to shake her, but instead, I walked back to the cabin, my boots crunching on the gravel, my mind racing. That night, as we slept in separate rooms, I heard a creak outside, then a faint glow through the window. I bolted upright, heart hammering, and saw flames licking the cabin's porch. Fire. I grabbed Lily, dragging her out as the blaze spread, the crackle deafening, the heat searing my skin. We stumbled into the cold night, coughing, as the cabin burned. The fire department later called it arson. Someone had poured gasoline. My gut screamed Richard's name, but I had no proof, just a sick certainty this was no accident. We drove back to Boise in silence, the smell of smoke clinging to us. I couldn't look at her. Was she in on it? Was this their plan to break me? Back home, I found a locked file on her laptop, labeled Harper Plan, password protected, and taunting me. Then a text from Claire, Lily's shy sister, who'd always stayed out of the drama. Meet me tomorrow. You need to know something. My pulse quickened. What did she know? Was I walking into a trap? Or was she my only ally? As I lay awake, the weight of it all, Lily's betrayal, her family's schemes, the fire, crushed me. I'd built a life from nothing, but now I was fighting for it, and I didn't know who I could trust. One thing was clear, this wasn't just about a prenup anymore. It was war. I stood in our Boise kitchen, the phone still hot in my hand from Margaret's venomous call. Her words echoed like a curse. You're caging Lily with that prenup, Ethan. There'll be consequences if you don't fix this. Consequences? The threat hung heavy like the air before a thunderstorm. My pulse raced as I stared out the window at the quiet North End street, the kind of place where neighbors mowed their lawns and kids rode bikes, but I wasn't safe here, not anymore. That slashed tire was just the start, and now Margaret's voice, sharp, calculated, confirmed it. The Harpers were coming for me, and they weren't playing nice. It was July 2025, and Boise was sweltering, the heat pressing against our new home's windows like an uninvited guest. Lily was at the community college, grading papers, or so she said. I couldn't shake the memory of her hushed phone call in Hawaii, whispering about ditching the prenup. Was she in on this? My wife, the woman I'd loved since that 4th of July festival, now felt like a stranger. I'd built a life from nothing, grease-stained hands to $1 million bank account, and yet here I was, cornered in my own home by her family's schemes. I needed answers, but every step felt like walking through a minefield. The next morning, I was driving my truck down a winding Idaho road, the Sawtooth Mountains looming in the distance, when it happened. I pressed the brake pedal, and nothing. My heart slammed against my ribs as the truck barreled toward a sharp curve. I pumped the pedal again, still nothing. The world narrowed to the scream of tires and the blur of pine trees. I yanked the emergency brake, the truck skidding, gravel flying, until it lurched to a stop inches from a ravine. Sweat soaked my shirt as I sat there, gripping the wheel, my breath ragged. A mechanic later confirmed what I feared. The brake lines had been cut, clean and deliberate. Someone wanted me dead. Richard's smug face flashed in my mind, but I had no proof, just a gut screaming that this was no accident. I confronted Lily that night, my voice tight as I leaned against the kitchen counter. Your parents are playing dirty, Lily. My brakes were sabotaged. You gonna tell me what's going on or keep pretending I'm paranoid? Her eyes widened, but there was a flicker. Guilt? Maybe? Before she crossed her arms. You're out of your mind, Ethan. You think my parents would do something like that? Maybe you're just stressed, seeing things that aren't there. Her deflection was like a knife twisting in my gut. I stepped closer, my voice low. I heard you in Hawaii talking about the prenup. Who was on that call, Lily? What are you not telling me? She turned away, her shoulders stiff. You're making this about them when it's about us. If you trusted me, you'd tear up that damn prenup and move on. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Trust, after my truck's vandalized, my brakes are cut and you're sneaking around? Tell me why your parents are so obsessed with that document now. She spun back, her face flushed. Maybe because it makes me feel like I'm married to a man who's waiting for me to fail. If you love me, Ethan, you'll get rid of it. Or maybe I'm done here. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Done? Our marriage, everything I'd fought for, hanging by a thread over a piece of paper her parents forced on me? I wanted to shake her, to scream, but I just stood there, the silence between us louder than any argument. Desperate to salvage something, I suggested a weekend at a cabin in McCall by Payette Lake, where we could talk without her parents' shadow looming. She agreed, but her eyes were cold, like she was humoring me. We drove up Friday night, the road twisting through pine forests, the air thick with tension. The cabin was rustic, all wood and quiet, the kind of place where you're supposed to find peace. But peace was the last thing we got. Saturday morning on the dock by the lake, I tried again. Lily, I need the truth. Are you with me or are you letting your parents run our marriage? Her sigh was heavy, her gaze fixed on the water. You're so obsessed with them, Ethan. This is about us. That prenup makes me feel like you don't trust me. I leaned forward, my voice steady but sharp. Your parents made me sign it because they didn't trust me. Now they want it gone, and you're backing them. Why? Her eyes flashed. Maybe because you're so wrapped up in your pride, you can't see how it hurts me. You're not the only one who gets to feel betrayed, I snapped, my voice rising. Betrayed? I've been busting my ass to give us this life, and you're siding with the people who tried to break me? She stood, her voice dropping to a chilling whisper. If you can't let this go, maybe we don't have a future. My blood froze. A future without her? After everything? I was about to fire back when I noticed her bag on the dock, a corner of a cheap phone peeking out. A burner, not her usual iPhone. I grabbed it before she could stop me, the screen lighting up with a text. Lock in the assets. Time's running out. Who the hell is this, Lily? I held up the phone, my voice shaking with rage. She lunged for it, but I pulled back. It's nothing, Ethan. Give it to me. Nothing? A burner phone with cryptic texts wasn't nothing. I stormed back to the cabin, my mind racing. That night, as we slept in separate rooms, I woke to the smell of smoke. My heart stopped as flames roared outside, licking the cabin's walls. I grabbed Lily, dragging her through the choking haze, the heat searing my lungs. We stumbled into the night, the cabin blazing behind us. The fire department called it arson. Gasoline, deliberate, just like the brakes. I looked at Lily, her face pale but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. Was she scared, or was she hiding something? The drive back to Boise was a funeral procession, neither of us speaking. I started therapy that week, sitting in a cramped office on State Street, pouring out my fears to a guy with a clipboard. I feel like I'm losing everything, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. My wife, my trust, my safety. He nodded, scribbling notes, but no amount of talking could erase the dread pooling in my gut. The Harpers were closing in and I was alone. Then came the intervention. I walked into our living room one evening to find Richard, Margaret, and Lily's sister Claire waiting like a jury. Lily sat on the couch, staring at her hands. Richard stood, his voice booming. Ethan, this prenup nonsense is tearing us apart. It's time to end it, for the family's sake. I laughed, cold and sharp. The family? You mean your bank account, Richard? I'm not budging. Margaret's eyes narrowed. You're being selfish, Ethan. Lily's given you everything and you're treating her like she's disposable. Disposable? The irony burned. You've been trying to control us since day one, I shot back. This isn't your marriage. Claire fidgeted, avoiding my gaze, but Richard leaned in, his voice low. You're not the only one with options, Ethan. Lily deserves better than a man who clings to a contract. The threat was clear, and Lily's silence was deafening. I told them to get out, my voice shaking with fury. As they left, Claire slipped me a note, her hand trembling. They're planning something big. Watch your back. My stomach dropped. Claire, the quiet one, the only Harper who'd ever seemed human. What did she know? Lily packed a bag and left for her parents' mansion that night, the neighborhood buzzing with gossip by morning. Trouble in paradise? My neighbor asked, smirking over his coffee. I wanted to punch something. Instead, I met Claire at a dive bar on Cheaton Boulevard, her eyes darting like she was scared of being followed. Lily's been seeing someone, she whispered, her voice barely audible. A lawyer, big shot in Boise. Dad set it up, they want the prenup gone so she can take your money when she leaves. My world tilted. An affair? Orchestrated by Richard? Claire's eyes were wet, her voice breaking. I'm sorry, Ethan, I couldn't stay quiet. You don't deserve this. I believed her. She was risking everything to tell me, but the betrayal cut deeper than I'd imagined. Driving home, I noticed a black SUV tailing me, its headlights glaring in my rear view. I floored it, weaving through Boise's back streets, but it stayed close, too close. On a quiet stretch of hill road, it swerved, trying to force me off. My hands shook as I gripped the wheel, my truck skidding but holding the road. I lost them at a red light, my heart pounding like a drum. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was war. At home, I dug through our finances, finding a hidden account in Lily's name, stuffed with transfers from Richard's failing hardware stores. Thousands, funneled quietly like a plan to bleed me dry. I called my lawyer, a no-nonsense guy named Tom, laying out everything, the burner phone, the fire, the brakes, Claire's warning, the account. Stay calm, Ethan, he said. We've got enough to bury them. The divorce papers were filed a week later, the prenup my shield. Lily didn't even fight it, her affair laid bare by texts and bank records. The evidence of her infidelity, plus Richard and Margaret's meddling, left her with nothing. No house, no alimony, no piece of my company. The Harper's empire was crumbling too, their hardware stores bleeding cash, their mansion leveraged to the hilt. I heard through Claire that Lily's lawyer boyfriend ditched her when he realized she was broke. Karma's a hell of a thing. Margaret left voicemails ranting about how I'd ruined Lily, but I didn't answer. Richard tried one last power play, showing up at my office, red-faced and shouting, "You think you've won, kid? This isn't over." I leaned back, calm as stone. "It is for me, Richard. Good luck keeping up appearances." Claire and I stayed in touch, her guilt driving her to check on me. She was the only Harper who'd shown any decency, and I owed her for blowing the whistle. As I sat in my new office, my startup humming, Boise's skyline glowing through the window, I felt something I hadn't in years. Freedom. I'd built this life from grease and grit, and no one, not Lily, not her parents, could take that from me. The threats, the fire, the betrayal, they'd tried to break me, but I was still standing. Somewhere out there, the Harpers were licking their wounds, their perfect world in ashes. And me? I was ready for whatever came next, knowing I'd never let anyone cage me again.